This would be Thursday, September 11th, and we're going to take a look at reading a nonfiction article and becoming slightly smarter-ish people. And I forgot to turn off the screen. Alright. So for that one, for those of you playing the home game, there's information for you. Blah, 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 blah. Now we get to come to this. What I'm going to have you guys do is raise your hand for agree or disagree on each one of these to see what your thoughts are. And then we're going to read the story, and then we're going to get a chance to do our arguing. So first off, as we go through, it says, I would rather be safe than be free. Raise your hand if you agree with that. Raise your hand if you disagree with that. And don't vote with others. Vote with your heart. Be strong. Nicely done. 2, if I were bullied by another student, I would tell the teacher. Agree? Disagree. Alright. 3, only snitches and wusses report when bad things happen. Agree? Disagree.
Oh, wait.
Alright.
I disagree.
4, social media is an important part of my life. Agree? Disagree. And 5, I have no problem with anyone seeing my social media posts. Agree? Disagree. Nicely done. Alright. What we're going to do is, on the paper that you got, not the side that has the poems on it, 1 to 7, turn to the other side. And it's going to have information on there. For those of you who are playing the home game, you can go to MrBroviac.com, and it's already on there. It's just a little, mine's a green one, but it's the same idea. It's just got, we're reading the story side. We're going to go through and take a look at it. What it is there is a company that is monitoring kids' social media posts. And schools are signing up for it. Something our school is looking at doing. So I figured since we have our convo this afternoon with information going into it about bullying, the whole point of them monitoring the social media posts is to prevent bullying. What the idea for this is they monitor kids' posts to Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that, and look for posts that could be either self-harm, like suicide, or it could be bullying of some form, and then they report it to try and help people out. And so the idea is that the schools pay people to go through there and sift through your posts to try and help you out. My question will be whether you support this happening or not. It comes to the idea of safe versus free. And so the idea of them going through there and checking your stuff takes away your freedom, but makes you safer. And so we'll see which one you think of on that. Jake?
What convocation?
There's a convocation this afternoon. Surprise! There you go.
We have to do it?
Right, we'll talk about it later. Right now, we're going over this. It's fascinating stuff. Right, me still going over stuff. So we're going to take a look at the story. I'll read through it so we can try and do it as speedy as possible. What I'm going to have you do is, as we go through it, mark things that you want to use to argue with me about. Things that you want to use to say whether or not we should or should not have this. Because it's going to have a few things, it's going to have some facts, it's going to have some opinions. But as I go through and state that our school is going to do this as we move forward, I want to know if you can find arguments to convince us otherwise. Glendale District says social media monitoring is for student safety. Hoover High School's junior, Christopher Chun, learned while scrolling through Facebook that his school was monitoring students' online activities. Excuse me. Christopher saw an article posted by a friend about the Glendale Unified School District hiring a company to screen students' social media posts. The school district had been doing so for about a year. I heard rumors that GUSD was doing a little bit of monitoring, but nothing as official as this. The only way students were finding out about it was through social media. Our principal hasn't said anything about it. The district last year hired Hermosa Beach-based geo-listening to piece together the cyber tidbits of its 14,000 or so middle and high school students. The effort, with which the district is paying $40,000, is aimed at unearthing the earliest signs of bullying and self-harm. The company's computers scour an untold number of public posts by students on blogs, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, for example. Analysts are alerted to terms that suggest suicidal thoughts, bullying, vandalism, and even the use of obscenities, among other things. When they find posts they think should spur an intervention or anything that violates schools' student codes of conduct, the company alerts the campus. While acknowledging some of the benefits, critics of the program contend that the monitoring could also have a chilling effect on students' free speech. and they contend it opens the possibility that students could be disciplined for comments made outside of school. Students say the policing of their posts has stirred debate on campuses. Some are angry about what they see as an intrusion. They have a good purpose for what they're trying to do, stopping cyberbullying, Christopher said. Nobody really understands what it's about or what the main objectives are of the program. Glendale School Superintendent said the district was reeling from the recent suicides of students in the area and was searching for ways to reach out to those who need help. 2 students committed suicide last school year, one at Crescenta Valley High School, which is in the district, and the other at nearby La Canada High School, which is part of the blah, 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 blah. Authorities are investigating the role of cyberbullying in suicide last week of Rebecca Ann Sedgwick, a 12-year-old Florida girl who jumped to her death from a platform at an abandoned cement plant near her home. Friends and family said she suffered constant online harassment from friends who had turned against her in a dispute over a boy. Rebecca was absolutely terrorized on social media. The Glendale District began a pilot program to monitor students online last year at its 3 high schools. We think it's been working very well. It's designed around student safety and making sure kids are protected. The district does not provide a list of students to the company. Instead, it uses deductive reasoning to link public accounts to students. To hit that part once again, the company won't give them a list of the kids at our school. They use what's called the geolocation tagging. When you guys go on Foursquare or Twitter or Instagram and you can tag your location, what they do is they scan through the Instagram, like that, and look for anyone who tags locations in our district, and that's how you get yourself flagged as going to our school. So the school doesn't give up your name. It's up to you to reveal who you are by where you tag your locations. Frederick would not comment on how many school districts he has contracts with, but said he expects the company to be monitoring about 3,000 schools worldwide by the end of the year. He stressed that the company monitors only publicly available posts, meaning if you keep yours private, they can't see it, and isn't peeking into private correspondence, direct messaging, or hacking into accounts. The company gathers what students are putting out there already for the world to see. Such programs must balance safe and supportive schools with student privacy and free speech. But this program is sweeping and far afield of what is necessary to ensure student safety and intrudes deeply into students' privacy and conduct outside of school, he said. The list of issues the company looks for is extensive. It includes controlled substances, drugs, self-harm, cutting, disruption of class or school activities, hazing, sexual harassment of peers or teachers, threats or acts of physical violence, bullying, use of fake identification, using a fake ID to buy drugs and alcohol, hate speech, racism, weapons, and suicide or despair. No matter where they are, if they are advertising it in the public domain, it's no different than if they're standing in front of a teacher. Daily reports to school administrators include a screen capture of the flagged posts, along with details of whether they were made on or off campus, the time and date, the user's name if available, and a description of why the post caught the attention of analysts. It's up to administrators to decide whether the posts warrant action. To my knowledge, no student has been disciplined following a social media post followed by geo-listening. That's not to say we wouldn't. The gathering of public information found online doesn't violate free speech protections, said Peter Scheer, blah, 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 blah. The use of that information to alert parents to behavior or to counsel to a student, for instance, would be appropriate. But disciplining students for posts made outside of school could infringe on the student's free speech rights. However, in situations where students write about hurting themselves, threaten to harm others, or use hate speech toward a particular person, intervention for student safety can be reasonable. Young Cho, a junior at Hoover High, said that although she supports the effort, monitoring them for less severe violations of school rules goes too far. We all know social media is not a private place. It's not even a safe place, but it's not the same as being in school. It's students' expressions of their own thoughts and feelings to their friends. For the school to intrude, I understand they can do it, but I don't think it's right. So the idea being, they're going to be scanning your public posts. what you post out there for everyone to see. They can use that to then figure out if you are suicidal or if bullying is going on, and then they can use that to try and do interventions. If you also post, like, hey, I just got really high at a party, woo, and here's a picture of me, they can use that to come back to you also. But it is only what you post publicly. Stuff in direct messages and stuff that is private is not there for them to be seen. So my quick question is, knowing that, would you support our school using this in order to keep kids safe? If you say, I agree, let me see, raise your hand if you say, I agree, my school should use this to keep kids safe and it's a good idea. It's up to you. Be brave, whatever we put on it. And you go, I disagree. I don't think I like this whatsoever and it scares me. All right. Why do you agree or disagree? Convince us one way or the other. Blue?
Okay, I disagree because this is our life. You can control us at school, yes, that is your job, but outside of school, that is our life. You do not run it, that is our parents' job. That is like, our parents know, like, your parents should be monitoring your social media.
I agree.
I know my parents do. I know that my friends' parents do. Social media is supposed to be monitored, but not to the point where our freedom is taken away.
So, do you make your post public or private?
My post is a public, but I don't have a private. I have a private Instagram and an Instagram where I post to the public. I have a quotes Instagram and my private Instagram. Anybody can look at my quotes Instagram. It shows no information about who I am or what I do.
So they can only check your public one. That's the only one they can see. So does it matter if they can only check your public one?
No, but seriously, you shouldn't be invading our privacy.
Now, to go along with that, I agree, because that's where this big issue comes up, the idea of privacy. Here's an issue that just happened recently. We had kids at our school, 8th graders, who harassed a 7th grader, filmed themselves harassing this kid here at school, posted it to Instagram of them harassing this kid here at school. The person they harassed was a nice, shy, quiet kid who didn't want to make a big deal, didn't want to bring attention to it, but it was a big thing that happened. When they posted it to Instagram, that Instagram post, that little 15-second video of them harassing this kid, got sent to the school. Is that something we should be able to punish them for? It happened here at school, but we didn't catch them until they posted it to Instagram, and other kids saw what they were doing to this other person. The kid getting bullied didn't want to say anything for fear of other stuff happening. Should we be able to interfere?
Yes, because it's at school, but...
Okay. But it's still, we would not find it if it wasn't for going through the social media. What they're saying here is the stuff that you do outside of school, they can't punish you for. Because that was the little thing where it says, and it's on the right-hand side for this house, it says, but disciplining students for posts made outside of school will infringe on their free speech rights. Meaning that if you do something outside of school, we can't do anything about it. What their goal is they're trying to find kids who are suicidal or being bullied. And that's what they're trying to find. They're not looking to punish you for what you post outside of school, unless it was bullying, or 90% of the time, kids who are suicidal post things about it beforehand. I'm friends with lots of my past students because I'm on Instagram and on Facebook. I've had to go through and alert because I've seen those posts come up on there. And so anytime people don't want to die, and so before people are suicidal, they send information out there. There are cries for help. The problem is, kids aren't always aware that those are cries for help. But if there's other people who can see it, maybe we can save them. So that's what they're going for. Not that they're trying to pry into your life, but they're trying to find a way to save kids. But the question is, does that make it right? Even though they have that intention. Stephen.
I agree that they should do this because most things happen on cyberbullying. It's more cyberbullying than bullying than anything else.
And that's where things are moving. Very seldom do you have the bullying where you see in the classic TV shows about the kids getting beat up in the hallways and stuff like that. It just doesn't happen as much. But the cyberbullying where you text someone or you direct message someone and you make fun of them and then all of a sudden you can get them to reply to you and then they reply to your direct message and then you screen capture it and then you post that screen capture of that dorky kid replying to you and you're making fun of them and everyone else can see it, that becomes a much bigger thing. You want to grab that for me? Thank you, Mr. Tuttle. So that's what they're trying to do, is the idea of finding ways of stopping that. Yeah, it was for him anyway, so it works out well. All right. So if our school were to do this, you guys would be okay with it?
Yeah.
For the most part. All right.
Yes.
It's-
Yes and no.
Yes, and why no?
Well, because some things I understand, but like it does violate some free of speech. But
The idea of safe, you have, in order to be safe, you have to give up some freedoms.
yeah.
So are you, I mean,
Well,
if you
some-
know you could save someone's life, is it okay to give up that little bit of freedom?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you do give it all of your freedom, then like nothing will end up.
I agree, but that's why they're saying you still get your freedom of all the private messages you want, all the private accounts you want. They can't intrude on that. Only the stuff put out there publicly. So it's the same thing as if any random Joe Schmo went and looked at it, they could find out that same info. Blue.
But how are you stopping the bullying online? Like, some people don't, like, if you post something on Instagram and you comment something rude, that can be detected. But what if you're getting harassed in direct messages? And
Then
you guys can't look at that to figure it out.
You are correct. They can't fix everything. Their thinking is, hopefully we can find some. And the idea is if we can't necessarily find all of that things, but like with this kid that posted the video of him harassing someone, he posted that for other kids to see. Other kids then took it and then reposted it. And then that reposting of it, someone's eventually going to repost it and make it public. That's how it gets found out. So the idea that hopefully, eventually, we do get to hear about it. And that's where it comes down. You're right. The direct ones, the private ones, we can't interfere with that and we can't stop that. But our goal is it okay if we go in there and find the public ones and try to stop it that way? And so it's the idea is we don't want kids to die. And so how is it we can stop that from happening? We realize that you guys don't talk to us as often as you should because adults are adults and you avoid them as much as you can. So our idea is if you talk to each other, we have to try and use those messages to prevent those bad things from happening. We want to stop bullying, but we can only stop it when we know it happens. And if you don't tell us, we don't know. This kid that got bullied this past week with the video on Instagram, we didn't know it was happening because it happened in a time that was like in the hallway when there happened to be no teacher there, so we couldn't see it, so we can't stop it. That doesn't mean that this girl should be harassed in the hallway just because we couldn't stop it. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's why I like this article. It's interesting in that fact that it could go either way. I feel the same way. It's tough. I want to keep kids safe. I don't always know how to do it, and this seems like one of those ideas where they're trying the right way to go about doing it, but when you start giving up your freedoms, it gets scary. But the fun things of social media, we have stuff like this. There's a competition going on tomorrow at the football game. I'm working security. Anytime we have the big HSE versus Fishers football game, I get to work security. I get to wander around the little area, and I wear a big vest and stuff like that, and I get to throw down with kids. It's great. Mr. Jansen does the same thing with me. We have a competition going between the Stars and the Heroes to see which one of us is going to be the better team. And so we're going to have a hashtag competition to see how many times we can get our hashtag put up there. And whoever gets the most hashtags is going to win. Whichever teacher loses between him or me has to wear the other team's t-shirt next Friday. I have to wear one that says Stars, or he'd have to wear one that says Heroes. So my goal is to not get beaten by the Stars. They've already started making posters and hanging them up around the school about trying to hashtag FJH Stars. Mine is Brovicast. When I'm there, and you guys didn't know me in the past, whenever I go to the game, I get in all like the little Instagram pictures and stuff like that because I'm beautiful. And so I get in all these pictures and I try to get hashtags. Even if you're not at the game, if you can hashtag and talk about that, the fact you wish you were there or wish you could be in Brovicast, then that's what we're going for. I'm going to push you to get in tomorrow too because I don't want to lose. The only one that has control over us being losers is you guys. You get to control your future loserdom. May you not be losers. See you later.